This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency space. Hey folks, it is clear that DeFi is continuing to drive innovation and growth in the crypto space. The Crypto Conversation sponsor BitGet has dived deep into DeFi with the recent evolution of the BitGet wallet, a self-custody multi-chain DeFi wallet. You can think of the BitGet wallet as the integration of some of the best parts of decentralized finance, or DeFi, with the BitGet exchange, centralized finance, or CeFi structure. And it's more than just secure storage. One of the most important aspects of the Web3 BitGet wallet is BitGet Swap, which supports tokens from more than 90 different blockchains and offers cross-chain compatibility across 17 different chains. BitGet Swap aggregates liquidity across 100 DEXs and leverages intelligent routing mechanisms to provide users with the best trading prices across different protocols. So try the BitGet wallet. Download the app today. I've put a link in the show notes, or just go to web3.bitget.com. All right. Well, thank you to BitGet. And now it is on with the show. My guest today is Pelli Wang. Pelli is the co-founder and COO of Bracket Labs, a DeFi platform building range-bound products for traders so they can make money in either direction. Welcome to the show, Pelli.
Thank you so much, Andy. I really appreciate you having me on.
It is a pleasure. Pleased to have you here. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show, Pelli. It'd be great if you could please introduce yourself. I'd love to hear some of your personal and professional backstory, what you've been doing in the lead up to getting involved with co-founding Bracket Labs.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I'm really thrilled to be working in crypto. I've been active in this space all the way since 2017. As a way of background, I started in traditional finance, like many of the people that ended up in crypto. I was at an investment bank called Barclays, and then I worked in private equity. So I was really familiar with institutional finance, but many times I got disillusioned with how slow we were doing a lot of our tasks, and we didn't really use a lot of technology. And that really drew me to finding fintech as a way to use platforms and automation to do a lot of our tasks. And that was kind of how I jumped over to the technology side. I was part of the founding team that helped start Seed Invest, which was one of the first crowdfunding platforms in the United States. We grew to be one of the biggest platforms, and then we ended up selling that to Circle, the stablecoin company. And then from there, I moved to Consensus Capital as head of partnerships, where I was really responsible and involved in our incubation, our investments, and our token platform called Token Foundry. So it was really deep in the Ethereum ecosystem, and I'm really proud of a lot of the products that we launched through that, products like MetaMask, Infura, and a lot of, the other notable sort of like DeFi protocols. And I think moving further along after Consensus, I started a firm, decided to sort of spin out and go back to my roots, and founded another company called Deer Creek. So Deer Creek, we did a lot of work with other ecosystems. Again, looked really deep in DeFi, saw, different use cases of what was working, what was not working, and then started building products. So Bracket Labs came out of that, and we really decided to focus on the derivative space because we didn't see a lot of new things come to market, and we wanted to build something that was really native to Web3. So yeah, that's kind of my backstory.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, Pelli. So, yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more then about the origin story around Bracket Labs and, how it all came together with you and the team.
Sure. So we started Bracket Labs back in early 2022. I co-founded it with Mike Wazzle, who is the other co-founder. We worked together at Consensus and then also at Deer Creek. So we've already, had many years of, experience working together. And we, looked at a lot of different products. We looked at a lot of different areas in DeFi. We saw, how big derivatives was in traditional finance, and it was mostly centralized, but we wanted to build sort of a decentralized version. And then Jason, who's our other co-founder, he's really the architect, the CTO of Bracket. He's the one that really, is building the smart contracts, doing a lot of our automation. We use oracles, we use Chainlink, we use the graph, and three of us are the founding team members for Bracket Labs.
And you guys have built this on Arbitrum, right? The layer 2?
Yeah. So, when we first started, we looked at all the different chains that was available. And we knew, we wanted it to be fully on chain. And, just given how traditional derivatives and options had to be priced really quickly, we needed a chain that was, very fast, secure, but also had, relatively cheap gas costs, because people would have to, do trades on and off on the chain. So that was really important. And at that time, the layer 2s were just starting to emerge. So Arbitrum, Optimism. And so we picked Arbitrum. It was the most, I guess, friendly chain. It was, very open. They were very supportive. And that's how we first got started. So yeah, that's our home chain.
Yep, makes sense, Pelli. Tell us then, so in terms of, I guess, the product roadmap, I know you guys launched a testnet. Just give us an idea of where you're at with the testnet and kind of plans for mainnet and where we are in that process.
Yep. So we actually have had a few soft launches of products before our current launch called Passage. We actually just launched that 2 days ago. So we're really, really excited. But even, back in December of 22, we had launched something called Bracket, which was a directional high-low volatility product. And then we launched another version called Channel, which is kind of similar to what our current Passage iteration is. It's a range-bound derivative based on time. And then we kind of have iterated based on those previous products. Those two were requiring market makers, and just given, kind of what happened with a lot of the centralized exchanges and a lot of market makers, we wanted to move towards a self-liquidity type model. So we built an order book, and that was a huge, upgrade and innovation to our latest testnet. So that's really our main focus today. And we're really excited for a lot of the DeFi community to test it out. It's something, that we think is really innovative and something that is not seen in the options and futures space. So we're really excited for people to test it, give their feedback, and we anticipate going live on mainnet in about a month.
Oh, awesome. Okay. That's not far away. So be good then if you could share who do you see as the kind of, I guess, target user or target trader for your products? Obviously, there's derivatives products. I know, and some DeFi traders will be, more or less familiar with those products. And secondly, maybe just explain if there's different restrictions around different parts of the world and stuff like that.
Right. For sure. So I'll kind of take a step back and kind of, explain how we see the evolution of just the DeFi ecosystem. So obviously when, the initial chains launched, the first product that became very successful were the dexes, right? So being able to basically swap from one token to another, and Uniswap and Sushi really kind of are the leaders with that, right? So instead of having to use like, say Binance or FTX, you could do it fully on chain. And that innovation was the automated market maker, right? Where you have these two pools, you put the two tokens in, and anytime, someone can come on one side of the trade, swap it for the other side. So that was, I think, a really, great starting block for DeFi. That was back in 2020 was when that really took off. And then perp really became, the next thing that everyone loved, where you can have a lot of leverage and then you can have a directional view. So if you think that Bitcoin, the ETF is going to get approved. So you want to be long Bitcoin, but you also want to put leverage on that, right? So a perp is really an innovation that was started by Arthur Haynes, who I actually went to school with at Penn. So that was, it's a kind of small industry. And he started that with BitMEX. And made that really, kind of like the de facto futures product that everyone started to use. And then that, product came on chain through DYDX and GMX. And GMX is still, the biggest DeFi protocol on Arbitrum. And then we kind of looked at the next sort of iteration, which is the option space. And we didn't really see a lot of products in the option space. There were these vaults, but the vaults were really dependent on, again, market makers, and they were dependent on exchanges where they had to, buy different options legs and like put them together. But they're not very flexible, right? They had to wait on these auctions every Friday. So it was a little bit clunky and not fully on chain. So that was kind of what we saw with the market, especially in the last year. The market was not super volatile, right? It was not as crazy as, say, like, every cycle we see the volatility is actually decreasing as the market, the number of people and the market cap for Bitcoin and Ethereum are getting larger, right? It's harder to move the price of, like a $100 billion market cap versus if you had a smaller coin where there's only, 5 million in market cap. So we wanted to create a product in that space, but like make it a lot simpler, right? Like I'm someone that has been in crypto and in finance for a long time, but I even get scared of using options because of margin. And so we wanted to sort of think of like a Web3 native product that makes options easier to use, but also, could be flexible for a high volatility or low volatility market. And that's kind of what the current product passage is really trying to address, and the type of user that we're trying to get. So someone that's native to DeFi, but also someone that might not be super comfortable using, traditional options on Deribit or centralized exchange.
Yeah, so part of that, of course, is just, and this has traditionally been one of the problems in crypto, really, is just trying to keep the UI, the UX as user-friendly as possible, which is kind of the case now with a lot of wallets.
Yeah.
But it's because, as what you're talking about is adding as DeFi evolves, much more complex strategies and different types of derivatives, as people like you and your team make those available, the UI has to evolve as well to accommodate those increasingly complex strategies, right?
Yeah. And so like if you go to like a traditional options marketplace, like there's all these like terms. It's like, okay, like when does it settle? Like it's like October 31st, and there's all these different strike prices, and there's, the options price, and all these different like Greek derivative names. And so it's very scary for people, let alone trying to do that where you're putting multiple options layered together to create a strategy, right? And so in traditional finance, I was offered, through different banks, like these structured products, right? And I was like, oh, that's actually a really great way to generate yield, where I don't necessarily need to know exactly like the price of at stock or an ETF, but I generally, based on my research, I'm like, okay, I think, we're heading into kind of like a sideways market, or I'm like really bullish or really bearish, and I can just choose kind of a general direction, but I don't need to know exactly like how something is going to perform. And so that's really what we try to do with kind of creating this new category called range-bound derivatives. It's like we don't necessarily know, is Bitcoin going to be 30,000, in the next 2 weeks? That's hard to say, right? Like so many things can sort of impact that. But you could generally say, I think, yes, in the next 7 days or, X time period, I think it's going to stay low vol, and it's going to be, generally between this range, or I think there's going to be something else that could cause the market to be highly volatile, and then I'm going to choose the breakout side. And so we try to make that decision-making process much simpler, where you can choose a stay in, which is basically stay in a range, or if you think it's going to be, super highly volatile, in a breakout. And so instead of having to make all these different decisions, we try to make, that decision-making process into something that's very simple and easy. And then you can just choose, do I like Bitcoin? Do I like Ethereum? Do I like other altcoins? And that's really what we're trying to create, to sort of simplify that trading experience, but also make it fun.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you for that. One of the, I suppose, confusing aspects about DeFi, one of the potential stumbling blocks, of course, is how can different financial jurisdictions around the world pass their own local regulations that still make sense in a global context, when we have, global uncensorable distributed ledgers. That is the whole point of blockchain, but it's different, right? Everyone has a different idea of what DeFi is and how it should be regulated. How do you think about that problem?
Yeah, that's definitely a hard problem to solve because, in crypto and with blockchain, there's, it's a global database, right? Anybody can basically access the smart contract, and, depending on how the code is written, it will execute. So it's harder to, I'll say, to block people unless we start doing or adding, incorporating like a decentralized identity piece to wallets. That doesn't really exist today, and many DeFi protocols are trying to figure out what is the best way to do that, right? Because we're kind of having a different financial system, but we still have legacy, kind of traditional finance rules and regulations around, like, know your counterparty, know your customer. And I think DeFi is especially caught in the crosshairs because it's operating globally, but every different country has different jurisdictions and different rules, and they don't really harmonize, right? So I think a lot of people in the industry do want like a global standard, and we're seeing different countries starting to adopt VASP, so like virtual asset service provider, but they all have different timelines, right? Like some are like, we're complying now, others are like, we're starting to incorporate that in 2024, others are like by 2025. So I think everybody tries to do the best that they can. It's definitely something that we're looking into in terms of like, are there decentralized identity solutions that we can potentially incorporate as part of the wallet connection onboarding phase, and so that's something that we're definitely actively working on, and trying along with many other sort of protocols in the industry.
Yeah, that's right. Very well said. I just have in my notes, Pelli, Binance Build the Block you guys were a finalist earlier this year. And I've just Googled Binance Build the Block because I wasn't actually familiar with that, but it looks like it was like a metaverse reality show.
Yeah, I can explain what that is. So we were part of Binance Labs incubator cohort, I guess season 5. So we started that last winter, graduated in the spring. And so that was, working with other projects. There were, all different types of projects, some infrastructure. I think we were actually the only DeFi project in our cohort. And at the end, they different incubator programs try to showcase their projects in different ways. So Binance decided to do it in a really cool, I guess, like metaverse way. They did basically this reality show in the metaverse, and then they had all of the projects present in these like individual rounds, and then you basically try to get votes, kind of like American Idol, like the singing competition. And then you basically, you progress in each round until the final round. So we were the finalist. We came in second. And I think it was a really sort of unique way to show off different projects.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, well, as we finish off this part of the podcast, Pelli, just look again, make the case for why traders, DeFi natives should investigate the different products that you and the team are building at Bracket Labs, and where should people go? What should they do to learn more?
Yeah. So I guess, to sort of reiterate, we are an on-chain derivatives platform that's spearheading the concept of range-bound derivatives. So we make it really easy to trade volatility, whether you think, you're long or short vol. You're able to do that in a very easy one-click solution for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins that we will be adding. And we are currently live on Arbitrum. We're very excited to have Passage launched right now. We're running a trading competition for the next 2 weeks for people to test out this new product. So you can win USDT prizes, and we plan to have mainnet live in about a month. So the best way to sort of view that is on bracketx.fi, and it will direct you to the trading competition tab from there.
Awesome. And of course, links will be in the show notes. Listeners, let's go to a very quick break, and then we will come back. We'll have some fun. We'll finish off. We will run Pelli through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round back in 1 second.
Hey, what are you still doing up?
I've just spent my entire Friday night researching Bitcoin charts, crypto glossaries. My brain feels like it's going to explode.
Why don't you just use BitGet? It's going to save you at least 10,000 hours trying to learn it yourself. It's an online crypto exchange. You can copy successful real-life traders having their expertise to make smarter trades.
Really?
Yes, really. Don't miss out. Get on it now. And by the time you're done, Bitcoin will be worth about $100,000.
I just got my cat to help me do the research.
Hands off, gains up. Start copy trading on BitGet.
All right, we are back, and I'm with Pelli Wang. Pelli is the co-founder and COO of Bracket Labs, DeFi platform creating various range-bound derivatives products for DeFi traders. Hey, Pelli, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm just going to run some questions at you, Pelli. So just want kind of, honest hot take style answers. No right or wrong way to do it. Question 1 for you. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Ooh, I'm a big believer in Bitcoin being the first OG, and I think that there's tremendous value as the first chain, blockchain. And so that has tremendous value, but I'm also a big believer in the multi-chain universe, especially ETH, just having additional capabilities like smart contracts, etc. So I think that they can live side by side, but I'm, I think a little bit more pro on the multi-chain side at the moment.
Yep, makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you for that. All right. Well, what would you say then is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
I think in order for crypto to be successful in the next cycle, we need to figure out a better onboarding, a collaborative way to work with the greater sort of community, especially Web 2. I think we've kind of hit sort of a plateau the last year in terms of getting more people into Web 3. And so we need to figure out a better value prop for people to come over. And that's going to be, the driver for the next wave.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I mean, similar to that, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10, right? So, as a crypto builder, you'll be very familiar with that kind of idea. But with that in mind, look, 10 years is a long time, but 10 years into the future, whatever you like, Web3, DeFi, what does it start to look like in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I think in 10 years' time, there's going to be what I call super apps. So brands that are very well known, for its games or wallets. And then within the brand, they will have a lot of different functionalities, right? So imagine in the future, Twitter or some iteration of Twitter will not just be a social messaging app, but it will also have, wallets embedded in it. It will have other ways to exchange tokens, pay for products and services, ways to receive your creator coins, and that's really there's going to be a few big super apps that exist out there.
Yeah,
and then people,
no, I love it. Super apps are the way. All right. Well, flip side of that, Pelli, is a quote by sci-fi author William Gibson, who said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Yeah, I think in terms of, everyone talks about these days AI and sort of, the algorithm of YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and people aren't aware of the information that's being fed to them. And I think, as AI becomes more and more ubiquitous, whether that's, helping you write your latest, social media thread or your, that's going to be really woven into everyday life. And so it will be interesting to see in the future how the, AI and algorithms will push content to different people and how people use it to create their own work.
Yeah, very, very much agree. And it's a problem at the moment, the algorithm. It's just, I don't know how much time you spend on X or /Twitter, but it's just downright depressing.
Well, it's puzzling because you kind of, I'm a big, I like to sort of consume content across a lot of different channels. And so especially a lot of the short videos are really popular, like YouTube Shorts or TikTok. And, the first video that you get, you're kind of like, why am I getting this video? It'll be something that's kind of random, but you're kind of like, I'm still fascinated by it. So I always think about why is this being recommended to me, right? Maybe based on past likes or activity, or it's tracking me across, all the different websites that I visit. And I think a lot of people are wondering why they're getting pushed certain content. So.
Yeah. And of course, the best way to train your algorithm is just to, I guess, interact with the kind of content that you actually want to see. And you actually can retrain your algorithm in a matter of days if you need to, right?
Yeah, for sure. I wish there was like a way. I guess it would be cool if there was some sort of like simple way to sort of reset it, right?
Yeah.
Like say like these are I'm going to watch 10 videos and I'm going to like swipe left or right if I like it or not like it. So
yeah, there's a great product idea just sitting there. Absolutely. All right. Time to finish this off. I think, Pelli, the final question for you is, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
I guess the most recent, I guess, sci-fi series that I've been watching is Stranger Things. And I think it's interesting to kind of think about this parallel universe, I guess, at the future, if you think that like you can live in a world and then there's a parallel world that's running alongside it. And so maybe that will be the metaverse. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love Stranger Things. Great series. I really enjoyed watching it with my son. He's 13, and yeah, it's great family viewing. Spooky fun. Yeah, for all generations.
For sure.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time with us today. Pelli, close it out again by telling people where they can go to learn all about the different DeFi products that you are building for traders at Bracket Labs, and please shout out your Twitter.
Absolutely. So please go to bracketx.fi. That's our platform, and we're running a testnet for our latest product Passage with a trading competition that's ending in 2 weeks. And my Twitter is at Pelli, PelliWang at Twitter. So very easy to remember.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pelli. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, there you go. That was Pelli Wang, co-founder, COO at Bracket Labs. Well, thank you to Pelli and her team for coming on the show. Thank you for listening to another episode, team. Please make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. Shout out to Stranger Things. Man, gotta love Stranger Things. Great show on Netflix. All right. That is it. We reached the end of another episode. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.